Hey folks, I gotta say this. I was just watching this video here that ended like this. Akron, Ohio, um, 3 people arrested. And I'm putting this on my Christian channel because I want Christians to pray. And I want people to acknowledge that I want black people, if black people watch my channel at all, any of my channels. And I know a lot of them don't. They get offended on my main channel, which now this is my main channel because lately God has been telling me to, stop ranting about politics, especially now since Donald Trump made it in the office. A lot of people are getting into, they're still picking on Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and Biden, who knows where he's at. And they're picking on, they're picking on all the Democrats. We won. Why are you still hating on Democrats? Let Donald Trump do what he feels that he's supposed to be doing. He's the man in office now. Obviously, everything's a hoax, or he would have never became president in the first place. You need to quit blaming Donald Trump and blame the Electoral College and blame the Supreme Court if Donald Trump is not a legit president, because they're the ones that are playing these chips that are letting him in there. I believe in Donald Trump. I believe that, I do believe, though, that he did a turn on us, though, when he got in office. Like, he didn't tell us ahead of time about the tariffs, and he didn't tell us ahead of time that it was going to take him this long to deal with immigration and all this stuff. So we're getting ready to go into 2026. I'm hoping we're done with the whole, economy thing and moving on. Because, even some Republicans are upset with Donald Trump because what he said he would do, he's doing later. But we were under the impression that he would do all that now. The only thing that he's doing now that he promised that he would do is the immigration issue. Okay? He's overtime on that. But I will say that people bring it to his attention at a press conference or whatever, and boom, it's done. That's the kind of man he is. So, and next thing you know, it's in the news. The other thing I'm hating is everywhere I turn, everybody's programmed to hate Donald Trump. And they make up stuff. They'll take something he said and twist it. Even some of the most best news programs that I've been watching all my life. CBS, even on my phone. You can't even get a phone app that tells you the news that's going to be honest with you. Okay, that's one thing. Okay? I'm getting sick and tired of Satan in America. Second thing, black folks, let me tell you something. Satan is using you. And all you people that defend black people every day, black people that you would not even let in your house, black people that you don't want on your property, black people that make the Democratic Party look horrible, Satan is using you too. Stop defending, I almost cuss. Stop defending nonsense and calling it racism when white people go, did he just say, woman, don't make me shoot you? You know what I'm saying? Like, they call... Satan is using the black community. He always has. I remember coming up as a child. They tried to groom me. Dudes just showing up at my door wanting to fight. And it wasn't that they wanted to hurt me. They did not want me. They knew that I was a kid that wasn't outside enough. Now that my cousin, because, when I used to hang out with my cousin, would get me in all kinds of trouble. And his mama didn't, my aunt didn't whoop him. My mama whooped my butt. She whooped me in the next year. Okay? But for the most littlest things, he didn't get nothing. He got like, don't do it again. That's it. Okay? Me, I like, ah! You know. And everybody saw it, you know. But, that's another video. My mama used to whoop me so good she had to go find me after she whooped me. Where'd you fly off to? Come out of there, boy. Man, I could make a comedy series about how my mom used to whoop me. Whoop me for stuff that I was innocent of, too. But that's another video. She just whooped me for being an accomplice to the crime, as she called it. Well, what was you doing there? Well, he asked me to come. And you went. And she would say this right in front of their parents or right in front of my aunt, you know. And she would incriminate everybody, but I was the only one that got a whooping. Except for when she had to babysit. Everybody ran out of the house except me. Where'd you fly off to? There I go again. Where'd you fly off to, boy? Come out of there. Anyway, I'm gonna start off by saying that God, the devil, Satan, is using black people. This video right here that I just watched, let me see if they show up. Yeah, there it is. It says, nothing could have prepared police for this encounter. Patrol Stories TV. Okay? Yes, I am. Okay. So, it started off with the woman on my left. I think this guy here is her husband. The cutie pie on my right in the video, she's really, really pretty. And she was being very sexual innuendo and all like that with the cops and all like that. This is the problem with Satan in America. Now, I don't know if any of y'all been watching any kind of conservative TV, but and a lot of black folks out of all people, don't pay attention to this stuff. But Islam is growing in America. They're taking over cities here in America. They got a certain part of Texas that is now all Islamic. And you ride into that part of Texas, you can hear them singing loud in the mosque. You might as well forget about what you're listening to on your headphones. Okay? Because you're going to hear that nonsense that you don't even know how to interpret coming through your headphones. Okay? None of these people, and if I was at a press conference, I would want to ask Donald Trump, hey, Mr. Trump, what are you doing about Islam, Muslimism, since he's against Muslimism? That's my word. It might not be a real word, but Muslimism. Okay? He's against it. I'm against it too. I just don't... you can't be a peaceful Muslim and a terrorist at the same time. I'm sorry. And then, these peaceful Muslims want to go politically against, these ignorant Muslims, so to speak, when they attack them. But when they're attacking us and we're about to make, a Muslim ban or whatever and ban them from our country, then they want to sit there and defend them, and they're saying, oh, now they're going to read the other part of the Quran that's all about, jihad, and we're going to do what we got to do to take control and get our way and all this kind of stuff. Same people. And God showed me a dream about this. And I just found out that dream is not about something that happened once. It happened long term. And that dream is being fulfilled right now as I speak about all the Islamic stuff. I had a dream about it. It was the scariest thing ever. And now it is being fulfilled. Right now as I speak, it is being fulfilled. And I'm not the kind of person to give people interpretations of my dreams, my own interpretations of my dreams, or leave it open for them to interpret my dreams. God showed me a long time ago, don't, you know, if someone is going to interpret your dream, he will come to you and let you know you had a dream in the first place, okay? I'm not going to tell somebody I've had a dream about something and then they give me the wrong interpretation. I've had that a couple times in my life. I learned young as a child, don't let everybody know you've had dreams. And the best person that ever interpreted my dreams was my very own pastor that I have right now. If he doesn't know the answer, he will not act like he does. But I didn't need no interpretation for this dream. And a lot of times, God doesn't tell you in this modern day time to go out and find the interpretation of your dreams. God didn't tell Pharaoh to go to Joseph and get the interpretation of his dream. They chose to because they knew he could interpret dreams. But I thank God. See, it's true. There's not a demon under every rock. But if you think that demons are not real, if you think that America is not under demonic control right now, and I don't mean demonic control to where we can't, eat our bread without spitting blood on it first. I'm not talking about that kind of demonology. I'm talking about demonic control to where everything that we've been fighting about, we've been wasting time on political stuff and racism and colors and wasting our time on, let me throw this one in there, this little wrench in there. Some of the hottest women you've ever seen are in police videos. And I'm not talking about staged police videos. I mean actual police footage. Okay? Some of the hottest women you've ever, and in my own life, I'm not going to mention names or relationships, but in my own life, black women, watching them get into with the police, come out of their clothes. I actually cried, okay, watching the police have to and you can call it, yeah, sure, the police could have been softer on her or whatever, but she asked for it. I tried everything in my power not to, but it was like either I call the police or I get arrested by the police. Either I be the victim or I really be the victim and nobody knows I was dead, okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's times I had to call the police on black folks, and it's been a number of times. And when it comes to the women, God help me, they get into a fight with the police. They don't know how, they know the police are outside. Why don't you put some clothes on, woman? And the police come in there, and the first thing, you see is them coming out of their blouse and all this kind of stuff, and they don't realize that they're, oh my goodness. And in this video here, this woman just came out of her clothes completely because she wasn't really wearing that when the police showed up. To me, this is satanic. You know the cops are coming in there to get you. You don't care to be a lady because you want to go at it with the cops. So you don't want to put clothes on. You worried about a cop raping you, but you don't want to put clothes on. And so these videos go viral and they go around the world, and all these young people, all these perverted men are seeing nipples and butt cheeks and naked butt cheeks and all this kind of stuff. And you're telling me that's not satanic? It went from Her being so angry, knowing that she was in trouble, that she didn't want to take a minute to put clothes on, knowing that she's going to have unwanted visitors. Okay? To all her body parts, all her privacy being shown around the world on television. And then you wonder why black people have such a bad reputation in America. And the truth of the matter is, we have a very satanic reputation in America. And the hottest women you've ever seen, that I mean like could be like porn stars, have been on police video. Before this video right here, I saw a video where, I didn't watch the whole video, but this hot chick was going out with her boyfriend. They both were partners in crime. And this girl was built to the rooter. I mean, she was built nice. And she was wearing her tight little shorties and, you know, she looked naked. She looked like different colors of nakedness. Their clothes were so tight. And the police, you know, and I know the police got to have locker room talk when they talk about, oh man, did you see? And then, you know, dude, like, I had her down and she kept kicking, and her butt cheeks, you know, she had my nose right in her, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's satanic is what it is. And I've seen, you know, I used to work with police. I used to work with property police, and I mean police that are armed, you know, actual, you know, 180s. I used to work with them, okay? I think it's 180. Is it 180, 120? It's still 180, 120. That's not going to go anywhere. But anyway, I used to work with these guys. And as a security officer. And the stuff that they used to talk about. Everything from, you know, black issues where they didn't want to, they were trying to, like, you know, whisper when, you know, some of them were so angry at black folks that they didn't care if my black butt heard every little nasty thing that they said. Some of them, they tried to keep their voice down and whisper, and they were very, very, you know, sophisticated about it. So I told them, I said, it's all right, I want to hear. I want to know. Well, this doesn't concern you because you weren't there. They weren't there either, bro. Is this a conversation for white people, or is this a conversation for the people that weren't there? Which is it? You're telling a story to the people that weren't there. I wasn't there either. Just because I'm black don't mean you can't tell me. Whether you did right or wrong, I want to know about it. You know. In this video here, it started off with the wife on my left. And they didn't even know this woman here on the far right was in the house. The young man, the husband, which he looks like he's younger than her, but he's supposed to be the husband. He ended up calling the police on her, I believe. But what happened was, once they finally broke down the bathroom door, she was in like the bathroom or something, and she was in there, and she locked herself in there, and they asked him to step outside the house, and he said, I'll be glad to. He stepped outside the house. And when they broke down that door and grabbed her, all of a sudden this chick on the far right showed up and jumped on one of the officers' back, and she got, you know, they handled her pretty easy, because I guess she was easy to handle, easy because she's nice and skinny. This dude, he gave them the fight of their life, and they beat him so bad they had to put him in an ambulance to take him to prison. Okay? And her, they just made fun of her. But what really got me is the first officer that showed up on the scene was trying to be very nice to her. He thought that she was like mentally ill or something, so he was talking nice to her. She started speaking like voodoo-ish stuff. And he said, and you don't hear this a lot, but being him and his backup officer, the other officer had his eyes on the young man, and he was talking with the woman, and she went into the kitchen, And I guess you go down the kitchen. The kitchen's like a hallway itself, and then you go down. You make a right, and there's a door there that leads to the other hallway, and it leads to the bathroom. And so the bathroom's right next to the kitchen. It's down the hallway. You make a right, and and it's a small place, but a bunch of hallways. Okay. They went in there, and he didn't want to go in there, and she started rebuking him in voodoo stuff, like talking voodoo stuff, otherworld stuff, real satanic. He said, "Woman, I never heard this before." But he felt that this woman was speaking, he felt that this woman must be demonic, mentally ill, and then he felt that she's not only mentally ill, or because she's mentally ill, she's also inherited some demonic, and I got family members that go through this stuff. They lose their mind, and Satan wants your mind. Let me tell you something about drug abuse. When people don't understand, even marijuana affects your mind. Your doctor doesn't tell you this. You smoke a certain amount of marijuana, it starts eating away at other organs of your body, like your mind. And I'm watching some of these guys that brag about getting high every day, and they'll be in the middle of something and just freeze. They'll be driving down the street and just freeze. They done forgot what day it is or whatever. I'm telling you. Okay? But whether this woman was on drug abuse before she started speaking satanic stuff or whatever, that never showed up in the video. What showed up in the video was her cursing this cop out, talking voodoo. And the cop said, listen to this, the cop said, "Woman, I'm covered in the blood of Jesus Christ. No weapon formed against me shall prosper." This is a white cop. White cop. Now, black folks talk like that all the time. But this is the white cop. He said, "Woman, I'm covered in..." He said, "Ma'am, I'm covered in the blood of Jesus Christ." And he started quoting scripture. Jesus Christ this, Jesus Christ that, Jesus Christ that. And she said, "I don't care, because you're going to get that, and you're going to get this, you're going to get that." And he's like, "That's not in the Bible, ma'am." Because then she started speaking spiritually. She started speaking Bible. She was speaking a mixture of Bible and voodoo at the same time. So in other words, she doesn't know the Bible. She doesn't even know her own religion that well. But yet Satan was just as powerful. Satan don't need you to know your religion. He just don't want you to know the Bible. Let me say that again. Satan don't need you to understand your own religion. He just don't want you to know the Bible. Whatever you do, make sure you get that Bible confused. Whatever you do, make sure you don't go preaching the Bible to nobody. That's where Satan will get you. But anyway, to make a long story short, out of all these three characters, this woman was the craziest. When they finally broke into that room, husband jumped in, and she jumped in, the girl on my far right. She jumped in, and the cops didn't know what to expect. They didn't even know they was in the house. Because they sent the boy outside the house. They don't know where this woman come from. But they jumped on the cops. And I don't know if she jumped on the cop hoping to grab his gun or whatever, but he knocked her on the floor like she was, a cat. He just threw her on the floor and jumped on top of her and flipped her around and put cuffs on her. Okay, and she got all sexy about it and all like that and saying things and, "I'm going to get you for sexual harassment," blah, 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 blah. This fool here, he gave the cops a good fight. And they had to three of them had to sit on him. And they jumped on him, they straddled him and held him down. They kept saying, "Flip over." He wouldn't flip over, so they had to hurt him to get the cuffs on him. And so they ended up putting him in a police ambulance unit, okay, in order to take him off. They snatched her out of there. She came out of her blouse. She came out of one blouse. They put another blouse on her. When they put her in the unit, she came out of that one. But something about this woman, she just wanted her melons to be showing. Okay? It's just... And the thing is, you got to understand how YouTube and TikTok and all these different social media platforms fit in. because there are LGBTQ people, even Facebook, even YouTube, even, there are LGBTQ leaders behind all these search engines, behind all these social media platforms. The worst people in the world are the ones that are bisexual. Where anything goes, whatever gets you off, that's what goes. Those are the worst people in the world you want to deal with politically. And then they put that in politics. It's one thing for you to have fetishes behind, the scenes, like a lot of our presidents and a lot of our people in politics do that make the bucks, that put on that heterosexual, I'm a Christian cover-up thing, okay? But it's another thing when, you run social media and you got all these Christians on your social media thing making videos and making money for doing their Christian videos and all this stuff, and then snap of a finger one day your whole YouTube channel is gone because you said one thing about the LGBTQ when you've been saying 100 million things about the LGBTQ community for days and weeks and months, years. Now all of a sudden this year, click. And what's weird is, like, if you pay me for something that I've already done, that's my money. I don't understand. Like, if I was monetized and I was making good bucks off of YouTube, what I would do is every time YouTube paid me, that money goes into my main bank account. I would not leave it somewhere where they can take it back. And that's what YouTube does. I know a lot of Christians on here where, they lost $65,000 in a week off of YouTube because YouTube didn't like something they said. And they're thinking, my channel's all about what I just said. Where do you not like? How long have I been saying this? What's the name of my channel? What's the title of my channel? And they'll take $65,000 off you, or $6,500, I should say, off you, or more. Okay, 20 some thousand or whatever it is. That for some reason they had access to take it back. I don't know why. I don't know how that works, but they'll take money off you, and when they decide to clear you and give you back your right to continue your process, they don't give you the money back. I've seen Christians on here crying because they promised their wife this and promised their wife this. They made doing Christian YouTube and political YouTube their job. That's what they do for a living, because they make more money doing YouTube than they do at any job they can get, because they're not, skilled like that. Okay, so the best heist they ever had was YouTube. And YouTube playing games with their money so many months, every so many months, they slam you for something very minor compared to everything else you've been saying. It's very minor. And then they don't give you the money back. And it's like it's a scam for them to, like, oh, well, we overpaid you because we got to pay all these people. We got too much money coming out of YouTube. We're going to take $6,500 back here, $3,800 back there, $20,000 back here, and all this kind of stuff. And it's all satanic. But in closing, I want to say this: black people, when a white man has to tell you that I'm covered, that he's covered in the blood of Jesus Christ. When a white man has to tell you where you don't know your Bible. When a white man has explained to you who edited, who translated your Bible. Like the Hebrew Israelites, for example. Now, they're known to be, the Sabbath keepers. They're known to be, the original Jews. Get the Don't make me cuss. Okay? Brandon, shut the front door. Okay? Get the heck out of here. Jews and blacks are not the same people. Yes, the original Jews was not them Caucasian people over there in Israel. But those Caucasian people, though, over there in Israel, I do believe are the closest thing to the original Jews. Because all the Jews that were taken as slaves, and there were some that were taken as slaves, and yes, some of them were part of the Islamic slave trade. However, they never forgot their language. They never had nobody have to tell them what their holidays were all over again, and who's related to, and what we really call Jews, and the difference between Jews and Gentiles. They knew this from the time they were children to the time that they were released from slavery till today. And the Jews going through the Holocaust and all the different things that they went through, all the way going back to Hitler, and now we're trying to call all that a lie. We're trying to call Hitler a lie. What he did to the Jews, that's a lie. The Holocaust, it never happened. Blah, 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 blah. Everybody's going anti-Semitic, including Candace Owens. Oh my God, give me a break. Okay? Everybody needs to get back to what America is about. America has always been defendant for the Jews. They've always defended the Jews. These Hebrew Israelites, these black, make sure you say black so we understand. Now, I do believe that they have some of the best analogies of history. Not all of it, but some of it. I do believe that we're not African. I've believed that since the day I met an African and had African friends, okay, back in the day. Okay, I do believe that we're not African. And what's crazy about Africans, I said this in another video, not on this channel, but I said this in another video, is Africans coming over here trying to act like they're better than, you know, blacks, and they just act like, oh, a white man say something, big smile. Especially a white woman. She say something, big smile, you know. But a black man say something, you know, don't make me do my impression of Eerie Spears, okay? But my point is, okay, Eerie Spears. Anyway, what bothers me about Africans, Eerie Spears, like got me thinking of all the funny things he said about blacks and Africans. What really bugs me about Africans, and even some Spanish colonies, okay, they come over here to America, and they want to act like they are anti-black. Like they'll call a black man the N-word faster than a white man will. Until they get arrested by the cops, okay? By white cops. And then, you know, if it's a black cop, hey, brother, do you understand what you're doing? My brother, man, do you understand what you're doing? My brother, you know. But the white cops, it's like, you're going against a black man. Brother, you ain't black. You African. There's a difference. How long you been in this country? I've been in this country for like ever. How long you been in this country? You can count generations, right? Get out my face. Shut the front door. Okay? You want to sit there and act like you're black when it's convenient to claim you're black. Which you literally, biblically, spiritually, politically, and race-wise are not black. Okay? You're not black. But you want to be black because you want reparations. You want to be black because you want black people to take your side against Donald Trump. You want black people to, you know, get out my face. Shut the front door. I mean, It's bad, folks. It's bad. And all my life, let me say this in closing. I remember coming up as a child. They groom you. Other kids groom you to be ghetto. And to have ghetto philosophies and ghetto theologies and ghetto, they tried to groom me. My own family tried to groom me on some things. They didn't like my white friend. Listen to this. Neither did the black church that I went to like my white friend. Now, don't get me wrong. There was like about 20% of that black church that did like him. But the rest of the 80% did not like him. And what bothered them the most, even some of that 20%, when he was sitting in the back of the church and I would come in and I would sit next to him. And it was like me and him were best friends. We were inseparable. And I even gave my testimony of how we met at Jesus camp, at church camp. I gave my testimony. He gave his testimony of how we met. It wasn't nothing political. It was all about him. I led him to the Lord. He got saved and became my best friend. Well, I didn't lead him to the Lord. He had just gotten saved, and I was his first friend before he ever became friends with any white people or any black people of anybody. He became my friend. We were best friends, and we started traveling together. And this dude was putting more money in that black church, I mean tithes and offerings, in that black church more than anybody black in there. And he would come there and he would bring other white people sometimes to our black church. But other times, most of the time, it was just him by himself. It was just him by himself. And he would sit there and he would, worship with us, clap his hands and all like that when we got all Pentecostal. And he's just as Pentecostal because he comes from his brother that led him to the Lord. He finally followed his brother's footsteps. His brother that almost looks like his twin, but he's a year older. He led him to the Lord first. He'd been trying to lead him to the Lord for years, and finally he got saved because he stumbled across some kind of revival. He went to a meeting at some kind of Bible school or something. And he met somebody that he became friends with that was Christian, and finally he gave in and said, "You know what? I surrender. I wanna know the Lord." And his brother, me and his brother couldn't believe it. Like, wow, what just happened? Okay, but he became my best friend in the whole wide world at that time. And the majority of my black church, their biggest problem with him, even sneaking into the 20%, is they didn't like me treating him like he was my best friend, which he was. Because me and him did Christian stuff when church was out. We did Christian stuff. We didn't go out there like the other black people, okay, and go out there and fornicate and have babies and all like that, and then come in church, Sunday morning speaking in tongues. We did Christian stuff. Me and him would get together. We would go visit. We went all over the state. This is what made me. It's him that made me the kind of person I am today, where I just want to travel and enjoy my state. Because we went to revivals after revivals all over the place. We went to go see Jimmy Swaggart twice. We went to go see, there were some other people, they're dead and gone today, that we went to see. But we went to Rhode Island. We went to West Virginia, Virginia. We went to Texas. Everywhere we went, it was about Jesus. Okay? The only thing that might not have been Jesus is when the foxy waitress at one of the restaurants realized that we wasn't an item. We wasn't gay. We were Christians. We were traveling together because, you know, this is what we do. And then she started flirting with us, and that was the only thing that we might have done that was like, forgive me, Lord. I almost took this woman back to the hotel and told him to like go in the other room, you know. But Satan is in America. Boots on the ground. Satan is in America, folks. And he uses... Do you know, let me tell you something. Do you know that every nation of the world is starting to hate white people? You want to know why? Because when everybody else, because Christianity ain't white. Sorry to tell you. Christianity ain't white, okay, any more than that porcelain on my toilet seat is black. Christianity is not white. If Christianity is white, okay, snow is black. Okay? If Christianity is white, the sun is black. Okay? If Christianity is white, this light that's shining on this camera is black. Christianity is not white. I wouldn't give a rat's behind if it was. As long as Jesus is in it, as long as Jesus is leading it, paint me white. I don't care. Okay? But anyway, the whole world is starting to wage war against white people. Why? I'll tell you why. Because when everybody else went up against the Jews and went up against Semitism, went up against Christianity, white people did their homework and decided that, you know, the dumb part about it was the Atlantic slave trade. Yeah, that was dumb. And they admit to this day that was the dumbest thing their ancestors ever did. Okay, but did they do it in the Bible? Yes, they did. And let me tell you something about slavery. If you, as a slave, can stand before the council, if you as a slave can go and protest about your mistreatment as a slave, or if you as a slave can sit down and raise your own family while you're a slave. We got slavery confused of what it really is. It's not what most people think it is. Okay? Moses would have never ever been able to go before Pharaoh if slavery is what we think it is. We don't know slavery like for what it is. And even in the Atlantic slave trade, once we got them all here, they were able to work their way up the ladder. They were able to you know what I'm saying? They had interracial families and you name it. It's not what we think. Because if you're just a slave, you're just a prisoner, you're just a slave, your back is just for whipping, and your butt cheeks are just for me raping, and all this kind of stuff. If that's the case, how do you stand before the council? How do you stand and argue at the gates? How do you get involved in politics? How do you... It's not what we think. How do you get to have a wife that I didn't rape yet? How do you get to have children that I ain't molesting? If slavery is what a lot of people think it is. It's not. But anyway. The reason why people hate white people is because of Christianity. I'll tell you what, I've met some trailer trash white people that need some Christianity. But I'm telling you, the reason why people hate white people is because of Christianity. Before. And if you listen to other nations talk, they don't talk about white people. Even white people to talk about white people over here in the U.S. Even white people or mixed white people mixed with the Arab nations, mixed with other nations, white people with an accent. Okay, when they talk about white Americans, they also have a habit of mentioning Christianity and the Catholic Church and all this kind of stuff. And Catholicism is not Christian either. White people did not create Catholicism as part of Christianity. They created Catholicism as separate from Christianity. And we think that unless we think Italians are whites, and whites are the same race, Catholicism is not pro-white. Catholicism, sorry my Arab brothers, Catholicism is pro-Italian. You might want to go next door, brother, and have a talk with those non-English speaking people that speak Italian as a first language. Catholicism went from Greek to Italian. And if you go, where's the Vatican at? Where's Vatican City at? Is it not in Italy? Thank you. Okay? And the beginning of the Bible was in England. The Bible comes out of England. However, the whole point of it coming out of England was to get it over here to the United States. Now the Bible is more of the United States than it is anything else. Okay? And the people, before there were black people allowed on the translators, the King James, how many black folks do you think was on the board of translating the King James Bible? Was there any at all? I'm sure there might have been one or two. How many black folks do you think was on a translator seat of even the NIV? And if we go back, how about the ASV and RSV? How many black folks were on this board of scholars? Whether black folks didn't get into it then, or whether, if you look at it, slavery was going on at that time. Some of those times. Okay? Now we got these Hebrew Israelites, black Hebrew Israelites, trying to go to the King James Bible, talking about, black, black, black. And somebody said, and it was so good, this goes back in time. This was on the Jerry Springer show. And I jumped out of my seat when this woman asked. Now, Jerry Springer, a lot of that is staged, but what they do is they study these Hebrew Israelites, and they study these KKK guys, and they study what they do, and then they get people to act their part. Because they don't know what it would be like if they actually put them on the set together like that in real time. I think they wouldn't, because it would be a mess. Okay, somebody get killed, okay, or something. But they act this out. They study it, and then they act it out. This white woman stood up and said, "Who wrote your Bible?" And everybody started talking. And Jerry Springer was like, shh. I want to hear what she has to say. Who wrote your Bible? And as soon as that brother opened up his mouth, she said, no, absolutely not. Show me one. You hating on white people. Where do you think your Bible comes from? That's what she said. I've said that. The King James translators. Where was the King James Bible translated at? It wasn't translated here in America. But they want to get up there and they say, well, you know, this is a black religion and God only died for Jesus didn't die for no Edomites, no white people. Oh, but the white people wrote your Bible for you. The white people decided that Genesis comes first in the Bible, then Exodus. Okay. Genesis, Exodus, you know, they decided, you know, and the Jews, them ain't black either. The Jews decided what the lineage of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, would be. And the Tanakh, the prophets, and all like that. The Jews decided certain things, and the whites decided certain things. So you got whites and Jews that translated our Bible. There are no Arabs. There are no brown-skinned people in the translation of our Bible. There might have been some scholars that were privileged to sit on the committee, but there are no brown-skinned people in the translation of our Bible. Even our Bibles today. You get somebody up there and they say, well, I was on the translators team of the NKJV. I was on the translators team of the CSB. Whatever. They're never black. I don't know one black scholar that shows up to say, oh, I was on the committee. I was one of the executive translators, blah, 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 you know, of this particular translation. No. Unless you're talking about the Ethiopian Bible, or unless you're talking about one of the Bibles that got rejected. No, not one of the Bibles that got, one of the books that got rejected. None of them are black. And then when you get Bibles that are like independent, none of them are black. None of them are Arab. None of them are Spanish. Thank God for white people that felt that we should have the 66 books in leather at our disposal. There is enough going on in the translation of our Bible alone for white people to look down their nose at black people. Because it's true. But, you know, you're going to take the white man's Bible and go out there and start a black religion. Or, man, if you don't shut the goddamn front door. Get out my face with this garbage, man. I don't want to hear it. I love God. And I also love every race out there. But when you come in here and you try to say that America has to be Muslim, it's got to be Muslim. And Islam is taking over America, and we're proud to say that. You are an Arab. You are a Muslim that I do not like. When you come up with retarded religions like the Hebrew Israelites, when you create racial groups like Black Lives Matter, and when you do stuff like this stuff right here, you are a bunch of N-words I do not like. I don't like y'all. Yes, when Donald Trump said, because you said it, he didn't say, but you said he said it, when Donald Trump said black folks need to go back to Africa, let's go. I will help y'all. All y'all can go, just leave me here. Because I don't have a problem with white people. Even racist white people I don't have a problem with, because they never put their hands on me. Black folks will put their hands on you just because you said hello. What's up, my brother? Next thing you know, he knocking on your door trying to talk to your wife. He gonna push his way in your door to get to your wife. I just saw a video last night of where, and this is another thing that's demonic about black people. Black people target black people. When I got mugged downtown Pittsburgh, it was pro-black. The white dude that was drunk and wanted to get in a fight with me downtown Pittsburgh, he realized that he had the wrong guy because of the way I carried myself. Even though I might have looked like somebody he had a problem with, he realized it wasn't me because of the way I carried myself. Because he knows if I was the guy that he was looking for, I'd have came out swinging. I'd have hit him first. But because of the way I carried myself, he decided to move on. But whether he was packing or what he was doing, he had his hand in his coat. I don't know what he was up to. And he was drunk too. But these young boys that attacked me, all them white people that walked by, they didn't touch them. But they came after me. Because they thought me bringing a big old laptop bag to work with me every day and bringing it home. I had actually my uniform in the bag. I left my laptop at work. I locked my laptop up in. I locked my laptop up in my office at work. I didn't take it back and forth to work with me. You know, I locked it up in the office, and I only brought it out of the house during daylight. I knew you don't want to carry a laptop downtown Pittsburgh with you too often at night. But black folks target other black people. In this video that I watched last night, this black stranger, big dude too, he had to be like 300 pounds. Big, tall, giant black dude. Start following this black woman around. And she was, you know, a woman of age. She had to be like in her, like, at least her 40s. But this man was about to rape her in broad daylight in front of everybody or something. And when he rode up on her sister's house or whatever it was and started banging on the door and yelling, because she wasn't hearing the phone, she started screaming, like, come out here. Now, to me, she should have been calling her husband to come out there because this man didn't care about no women. Okay? But when the sister came out and she said, this man keeps following me, and the man tried to smack her on the butt because the man rode up on the steps and he says, do you know Nisi? And the dude wouldn't answer her, so she tried to run down the steps. I think he actually did slap her on the butt, and she ran back down to the parking lot, and she's running around the car, and he's like picking up speed. He's trying to catch up to her. And she's like, this man's following me. The woman finally comes out. She says, this man's following me. And she comes out. And her husband comes out with her. That's when everything changed. Her husband, which was just as big as this dude. He might have been like about 20 pounds lighter. He come out and the dude saw him and he started walking straight. Like he wasn't doing nothing. But he was going to come back up them steps. Even though his wife went out there to help, he was coming back up the steps till he saw her husband, and he was like, oh, you know, he started walking straight. Like he's just a brother walking down the street minding his own business. He wouldn't have been no brother walking down his street minding his own business, because I'd have been on him. I've been pepper spraying his butt or hitting him upside his head with something. Okay? Because that is just bad, and you can't let people get away with this because they'll do it again. This woman got to walk back and forth to work and all like this. You can't have people like that on the street. And this dude said nothing. It was all with his hands. He wasn't letting nothing come out of his mouth. This is very satanic. And you got black people moving into like these uppity up neighborhoods, and all of a sudden some black dude shows up trying to break your door down. And you're thinking, did I not leave the ghetto and move up here with these good old white folks to get away from these creeps? How did they track me up here? I'm telling you, Satan is not only in America with all these immigrants coming in here trying to turn America into something that it's not. And I'm not saying all immigrants, but a lot of them. There's a certain percentage of all of them. Even China, even Japan. Japan tried to take over Hawaii. I guess they got caught. Okay? You got China buying property all over the U.S. You got Arabs owning cities in the U.S. Then you got black folks using the race card to control the police, to control what the laws are about everything from sexual misconduct all the way to what we're allowed to call racism and what we're not allowed to call racism, what we're allowed to, you know what I'm saying, all the way to our gun laws because of black folks. Because of all the black folks that got shot being stupid. Now we got gun laws to where, what, I gotta wait till you break in my house before I shoot you? I gotta wait for you to actually put your hands. A woman gotta wait till you actually put your hands on her before she can shoot you. It might be too late by then. It's getting bad. And it's very, very satanic. This is the spirit of Beelzebub. The spirit of the sons of Belial. This is Satan, the prince and power of the air. This is why we put on the full armor of God in Ephesians chapter 6, while we have an actual real physical gun somewhere on our person. Okay? Because the devil is, and if you look at politics today, there's going to be some things because of prophecy and because of the time that we're in that Donald Trump cannot fix. He's not going to shut down that city, those Islamic cities in Texas. He's not going to go to Grand Rapids and shut nothing down, or Michigan, period. He's not going to shut nothing down in Michigan concerning religion, because all you stupid Democrats will go after him with knives, guns, and swords, and FBI, and do whatever you need to do and start indicting him for other stuff. Saying he did this and did this and did that and he didn't do squat. But try to fix the country. And he wouldn't have had to fix the country if you Democrats didn't mess it up. And I understand Donald Trump's language like I understand the language of the Bible. Because he speaks very, very pro-human. Not pro-white, not pro-black, just human. No politics, just the man that understands. Who said that has to be like that? Flip that back around. Turn it around so we can see the label. That has nothing to do with anything about America. Wow. Is that a Muslim label? Okay, what? Put an American label on there, please. Thank you. Thank you. So everybody can see it. So everybody can see it. Okay? God. Let me out of here. Thank you for watching. D. Cruise Life Applications Officer. This was fun. I had to do this video after watching this. I'm thinking, just within my 2 days off, all the stuff I'm hearing about Satan involved with black people. And like I said, coming up as a child, they groomed me. They tried to. Job Corps, they tried to groom me. I remember in Job Corps, and this is the dumb thing about people practicing satanic religions like voodoo and stuff like that, because there's always a police issue, and Satan don't care if your body gets beaten to shreds. Okay? But you let Satan use you like that. I remember this one, and it happened for her like it did with this young man here in the video. This girl was practicing voodoo or something when I was in Job Corps, and it took 7 cops to pin her down. But 7 of them showed up, including Job Corps security. They all showed up. She was throwing Job Corps security around like they was nothing. She was throwing them around like they was paper boxes. Okay? Then all of a sudden the real cops got there. It took 7 of them to hold her down, and they finally tased her and got her into submission, and she ended up leaving out of there like this dude in an ambulance. Okay? Satan don't care about your body. The spirit, whether it's the spirit of God or the spirit of Satan, is not so much interested in your body. God is interested in your body somewhat because he created it, but he created it to die. Satan don't care about your body. Satan would love for you to live the rest of your life crippled because of something stupid you did. Oh, he loves it. I'm sure he gets drunk and throws a party with the rest of the demons every time you got to walk around life missing an eye or missing some testicles or missing a finger or a toe or a foot or something because it's your fault. You did something stupid. You didn't follow your God. You didn't listen to your God. You followed a false religion. You fought with the cops. You tried to rape a woman. You tried to beat some dude up. You tried to cripple some other dude, and it turned out that you was the one that got crippled. Oh, Satan loves that. Oh, he loves to accuse the brethren. If he loves to accuse the brethren, how much does he love for people who worship him or invest in him or agree with him when bad things happen to them in their body? And he says, I didn't tell you to do all that. You did, hey, it's okay. You did what you had to do. God did that to you. I didn't do it to you. No, Satan, you did it to him. You did that because you deceived them and made them think that this was what was needed, that this was okay, that they wouldn't get caught, that they would apologize later, or that they would win and get away with it. And shut the front door. Satan is involved in the black community, and that's why I don't support it. When you say black community, that's a satanic group. Don't say black community. Ain't nobody in no black community if they're in their right mind. And now we got all these blacks trying to get away from Christianity even more so. And you got the so-called movement who claim to know Jesus, called the Black Hebrew Israelites, who act like they're a demonic racist group. They even went as far as to practice violence. They train for violence. They beat up on white women. They've done Black Lives Matter type of things. Okay? And you want to sit there and say, well, they love the Lord, so maybe it's... Some people are like, well, if it helps black people get off the street and love the Lord, then what's the problem? Because if you can't do it without being racist and hating and retaliating and no forgiveness, it's not Jesus. It's not Christian. It's just, you can do that with Alcohol Anonymous, or do that with some kind of black group in the inner city that's helping children. Maybe you Hebrew Israelites need to go down there and go down to the rec hall. Okay, go down to the help center. But to claim that you serving Jesus, and you beating up on white women, you yelling out racist slurs to white people, you calling black folks all kinds of names because they don't want to join you, okay? There's nothing Christian about you. You're of the devil. And then white people in the KKK trying to claim the same thing, using the same scriptures. Somebody please shut the front door. The thing is, though, the KKK is dying out. All the groups now that are elevating and becoming a problem in America are all brown skinned. We got Arab, Indian protesters out there, anti-Semitic protesters, Semitic protesters, and then we got people that look like me, out there protesting, giving it titles. And on a good day, they'll just attack a cop for showing up downtown or in one of the inner cities. They'll just attack a cop key his car, spray paint his car, try to vandalize the cop car, start shooting at the cops. All because of what you don't know and don't understand. All because of what you don't know and don't understand, not only about white America and America in general, but yourself and where you come from. You don't know. You think you know, but you don't know. That's never been us until recently. And black people have become part of the prophecy of people going to hell. The prophecy of America fallen. It could never happen as fast as it's happening without the irresponsible misusage of black people. Shut the front door. Talk to y'all later. Thank you for watching.